Where everybody knows your name.
Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. You know, today we're going to meet some people who you might find a little different because they lead sexless lives. These people say that their asexuality is not a choice. Mr. David J., welcome to the show.
I'm the founder of the Asexual Visibility and Education Network, asexuality.org, which is where most of the discussion about asexuality is happening right now.
Before you created, there was no asexuality website. There were no members trying to find an organization to come together with.
There were people looking. There was no discussion.
Just so my viewers at home can understand this. When you say you're asexual, you're how old now?
I'm 24.
Still a virgin?
Yeah, but I really don't like that word. Because it implies that I'm innocent and I'm not.
Look at the smiles that just evoked.
I grew up in a really open, I went to a great high school, I had a great family that told me about sex, had open, honest discussion about sex early on. That's what let me understand myself. When my friends kind of all started to talk about and explore their sexuality, they were like, all right, you know, it'll happen to you. You'll start feeling all these feelings. What my friends were talking about, all the sexual experiences they were having, I just wasn't having.
But wait, no, I'm not. David, okay, your friends, were they football players and stuff in the school? What were they? The cool guys?
I have very little problem with a lack of people wanting to have sex with me. I've had plenty of offers, don't worry. And it's not...
That's right.
If that's what you're getting at.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that maybe at the time you weren't like out there trying to be the Mac Daddy, so it's not that they weren't offering, I'm just saying you weren't out there.
Well, I didn't feel I need to.
Okay.
I was connecting with people in other ways.
You date both male and female?
More women.
In a sense of,
more
when I say
women,
date.
yeah.
Must be double the price.
I'm kind of getting this, but what you're saying to me is that intimacy without intercourse, intimacy without sexual touch.
Yeah.
So far right now, your life and all the relationships you've had that have been intimate, you feel fulfilled?
Completely.
As fulfilled as anybody who would have turned that relationship sexual?
Completely.
This may be an option for some people. How many people would consider, what he's saying is that, you know, you don't have to be sexual. Let's drop the sexual part of a relationship and just you know, be intimate in other ways. How many people would do that? I'm going to talk to that one lady when we come back. We'll be back right after this.
I never saw these before.
Now, you know what, and I'm really not, and let's make sure, I want everybody to understand it. David, really, honestly, I may be asking you questions because I'm trying to find a humorous way to talk about what is a delicate subject in daytime. But at the same time, I'm not taking anything that you're saying lightly, and if a person feels this way and that's how they want to live their life, I have no ability to judge you or to complain about what you're doing. And out of everybody in this room, and you said, I could.
Yeah,
No, talk to me about this. Why? Have you been in intimate relationships before involving sex?
Yes.
And that was okay?
Yes.
So, to a degree.
How about a hug?
So, but for you, if in fact, let's say you met me, you and I were hanging out, and decided, you know what, we're just going to be together. I don't need you to touch me.
That's good.
Girlfriend, I'm the wrong dude. I should be doing it. But it would be okay.
Yes.
Okay. But let's just talk to my next guest. Say that they're just like any other romantic couple except for one thing. They don't have sex.
I first started calling myself asexual when I was 16, but at the time I didn't realize that that was actually a legitimate orientation, so it was really more of a joke.
But you experienced zero sexual attraction?
No.
None. So then, if no sexual attraction, then the two of you are a couple.
Yes, we are.
So what is the attraction that you have?
You have your romantic relationships and you have your platonic relationships. If you remove sex from the equation, you're still inherently going to feel differently about somebody that you're romantically attracted to.
So you two are in love?
Yes.
Yeah.
You would say that you're in love?
Absolutely.
You will get married one day, possibly?
Quite possibly.
Could happen.
Thank you for having me.
You've been involved in a couple of relationships?
Yes, I have.
That were sexual relationships?
Yes, they were. I didn't feel a need for any type of sexual exploration, but I still wanted a relationship. I still wanted a boyfriend. I still wanted that closeness with someone. I just felt that that's what I had to do. I had to have sex in order to have those other things that I wanted.
Some of those ended because you weren't really
That's
into
right.
it.
Of course, I mean, I was foolish, I think, to get into those relationships now, thinking back on it. But yeah, sex became an issue.
Yeah,
and
but
I didn't know
maybe you just met a guy who didn't know how to rock your world. You just need to have your world rocked once and everything will change.
It's not like it was just one guy.
I think most people can say, you know, most heterosexuals know they're heterosexual without ever having sex with, you know, somebody of the same gender.
Right. Orientation. So you're saying that most asexual people know that they're asexual whether they had sex or not. Mm-hmm.
And I gave it a try for the sake of the relationship, and I talked to my doctor about it. Her reaction was, well, that's the way God made you. So, and at the time, the relationship was falling apart anyway, so I didn't pursue it. And frankly, I didn't want to pursue it.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll meet an asexual man who explains how he finally found true love. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this.
It's Game Boy Camera. It fits into any Game Boy. Just pick a friend, pick a nose.
And it burns, burns, burns.
Serge, life's a scream.
Now playing.
My next guest said that when they stopped trying to be sexual, they started finally being happy.
I have the most satisfying sex life of anyone I know. Why in the world would I want to change that?
Please welcome Nancy and Keith to the show. You just said we have the most satisfying sex life, but you don't have a sex life.
Oh, yeah, you're just having a very hard time understanding that and getting that, aren't you? Well, there's a
you know why? Because just wait, but you guys have to understand. If you represent less than 1% of the world's population, we would have as difficult a time understanding you as you would have a difficult time understanding us.
Oh, actually, that's quite true. It's one of the reasons why we talk about it. The majority of people who listen to us aren't asexual, but that small percentage of people who are, and who are feeling lost, they're feeling alone.
They hear you clearly.
They're feeling trapped. That gets through. And that's why it is so important to talk about it.
But once a relationship is formed and it becomes a committed union, the two of you say you lay in bed together, you hug, you cuddle, you kiss.
We sleep together every night.
It's along the spectrum of sexuality. You have the bulk of people that, you know, they like to have sex. Then you have people who, yeah, sex is a driving point in their life, and they're an extreme case. It's what they're always going after. So, of course, you're going to have the opposite extreme where there's some people who just, you know, don't really care at all.
Gotcha. Let me take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Wild, untamed love.
Well, again, please welcome back the author of the book, Fearless Sex, Dr. Joy Davidson. Welcome you back to the show. I deliberately didn't let you sit out here during this entire show because I wanted you to just listen. I wanted you to influence me at all by me looking at you when you started raising an eyebrow and getting ready to ask a question.
And I've been jumping out of my seat back there. What is disturbing to me is the level of misinformation being communicated to viewers and thousands of people out there who are struggling, who are questioning, who are confused. There is a correlation between asexuality and various physiological conditions. Asperger's syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, none of which is even mentioned on your website. Nothing scholarly on your website, nothing written by experts, nothing that has a basis in scientific evidence, and no one with any qualifications speaking on the subject. When you do not have the proper degree of sex hormone or balanced hormones in your body, you do not feel interested in sex. And the idea of having interest seems outrageous. So to say that I don't want sex and if someone gave me a pill and I wouldn't want it is indicative of a hormonal imbalance. I'm not saying you have a hormonal imbalance. I'm saying it's one of the things we hear all the time.
My question, it seems like you're talking about two things. You're talking about a lack of sexuality, which we don't consider a negative side effect, and other things, other physiological conditions that could have a negative side effect. And if I think, if something's happening to someone's body that has negative side effects and diminishes their interest in sexuality, by all means, they should go and get checked out.
What if they don't even know it?
That's the point. They won't know it. If they reach adulthood without being aware of these conditions because of other syndromes, then when they find you, they are, in fact, going to think they may have found home. Now, maybe some indeed have, but others, need to have much more information than you are offering and need to have information offered by experts.
This is a place that you go to ask questions about your sexuality. If you're just looking to hide from a problem, we're not the place for you.
What if you don't even know you're looking to hide from a problem? What if you are a child born with Asperger's syndrome and don't know that? And maybe I never had an opportunity.
With Asperger's syndrome, you're going to have a lot more symptoms than asexuality.
No, that's also, let's make sure we tell the truth now. I'm going to give out as much fact. Asperger's syndrome has as wide a spectrum as what you talk about when it comes to sexuality. So stop. Don't say that. Some people can just experience just that little piece and not even know. You have people who are born autistic who don't know they're autistic until they're 50 years old. So, again, let's back up and say, I'm that person, and I'm just struggling, but now I've been validated by a group of people who haven't taken the time, in some ways, to give me all of the medical information that I could have utilized to figure out who I am. Well, you're saying it's a spot to find out who you are, and if, in fact, she's right that I can't find out who I am because I don't get enough information to look at the entire spectrum, all I get is be okay with the fact that you don't like sex, I may not be fulfilling myself as a human being.
We're saying we think it's okay, we're happy, and here's a place where you can come explore yourself. Here's a place where you can talk about yourself. We're not saying come to the asexual community and then just give up trying to figure out who you are. It's a community where we're very actively asking questions about ourselves and very actively exploring
Then I would say that a lot of people who are watching the show today, there are probably authorities like yourself, Dr. Davidson, and other doctors out there across the country that need to understand that there's a website with 12,000 people on it asking questions. And what they ought to do is have doctors start inputting and coming up on your website and start offering up some extra information.
I've been speaking at conferences, I've been speaking at universities, we've been trying to do outreach to the scientific community and to the medical community so we can make these kinds of connections.
Let's start getting some information out there. It's helpful for everybody, right? We're out of time. I will say that at the beginning of the show and throughout the show, we have all collectively talked about the spectrum. There is a spectrum of sexuality that we have to admit to. It goes from 0 to 1 million. I don't know. Let's say 1 million is that person who has a sex drive that all they think about is sex. Well, you know, if that's that person, a doctor would probably sit down and say, let's have a conversation about that. I got to say, I buy it, though, in this sense, that because if there's a bell curve in the middle, there's something at each extreme. And I'm glad we had this discussion. I want to have more. So, you know, I'm going to keep a track of your website. When you get up to like 25, 30 grand people, call me back. Let's have some more people on. Let's talk about it, okay? I'm out of time. Join us on the next one. Stop. Don't say that. Some people can just...